Okay, I'm doing a 1K test today. It's first time in 4 years. I'm hoping for around a 147 of some description. If I can get close to 335 or even beat it, I'd be happy with that. I think the last time I did it, I got a 150 average or 149 average. But that was at like a rate 26 because I didn't know what I was doing. I've done my warm up, so let's do it. Hello and welcome. Here I am about to start a 1K. I started off with a little bit of shoulder stuff because if you follow me on Instagram, you will probably know that I have had some issues with my shoulder. It actually felt okay today, so those 3 arm swings must have done the trick. So yeah, here I am setting up my egg, having a little drink, get myself in the zone. For a bit of context, if you don't know anything about me, I have done one 1K test prior to this one 4 years ago. I did do them in university, but I have no idea what I got. I think I was struggling to get under 4 minutes. The last one that I did, I'll insert a little screenshot, I think was a 339. And that was, April 19th, 2022. So average split of 149.7, but I really went off a little bit hard. My rate was very low. So the goal for this one was to try and get 147. So my plan, as always, is to do 7 big strokes and then kind of settle where I want to be. So I think I went off maybe like a 140 on the screen. Obviously, my first stroke was like a 205, but then brought it down. So I think my average was around a 145. But I settled nice and quickly. I found 147. I was kind of, teetering around. It was 146, 147, 148, but kind of always, on that sort of base. So that was good. My rate was a 32, but it felt a little bit uncomfortable. I did struggle a little bit with getting to rate. I felt like I maybe could have gone a little bit faster on the rate, but I don't know. In hindsight, I feel like I'm leaning a little bit far back at the finish. My coach Alan probably wouldn't agree with me, but I feel like I could have maybe got a little bit more speed through the rate. Anyway, it's done now. So we went off. The first, 250 was over pretty quickly. The 750 to 500 meter mark, I was really counting down to halfway. But I was sitting at 147 vaguely comfortably. It was when I got to about 600, 550 that split started going up a little bit. So I was sitting more around a 149. I was trying to keep it under, but obviously, you start getting tired. It's very difficult. So starting to see 149, and I had in my brain I wanted a 335 or under. So I could see on my screen my projected time, was 334. I was like, oh yes, I've got it. And then I started seeing those 149s, and then it turned into 335, and I was like, oh shit. And I tried to keep the legs on, but I was really struggling to get back onto that 147. I'd get it for a few strokes, but not really very frequently. So around the halfway mark, I'm kind of at a 149, sometimes even teetering on a 150. And I was like, right, okay, I'm going to let it be what it is. I'm not going to kill myself for a 147 if I can't hit that right now. Hopefully I'll be able to do a bit more of a sprint at the end and, claw that time back. So I was trying to just keep it on to 335, not let it drop any further. And I did that all the way through. And I was like, when I get to a minute left, which would be, sort of 250-ish, a little bit more, I'd try and pick it up. So my goal was to ramp up, just like a little step change, nothing dramatic. Maybe a little bit of an increase in the rate or a little bit more of a kick on the foot plate. And I definitely made a bit of a change in the last 150. But I definitely didn't do it where I wanted to do it. I just didn't have it in me. I tried to make a bit of a change through the foot plate and struggled. So yeah, at this point I was kind of
checking in with myself. You know, we want that sub 335. Maybe I can really, really pull it down. I normally historically have a very good sprint finish, like, you know, get down to like 140s. I did a prep session the other day of 3 500s, and my last one I treated as the finish. And I got it down to like a 140, but I couldn't get it like even lower than like a 145. So finished up, just sort of dying at this point. You know, some cries for help, bit of grunting going on, bit of warthogging, slightly alarmed my dog in the process. But yeah, you can see I'm really struggling for breath. But it's done. First one in 4 years. It's done. And here's a little look at my time. So I finished on a 147.7 and a 335.3. So I'll be honest, I was a tiny bit disappointed, as you can see.